And happy Thursday. It is November 4th, 2010. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Hope you had a lovely day. My goodness, fall is just so beautiful. Hopefully you're enjoying the vibrance because it doesn't last long. But tonight we have an awesome show in store for you tonight. We are going to be speaking with Tobias Lars, who is a personal awakening coach and soul counselor. He's the author of Listening to the Sun, which you can find at soulcounseling.com, and is also the creator of Course of Awakening. Courseofawakening.com is where you can find his series of videos. Excellent stuff, I must say. Tonight we're going to be talking about why our political system is not working. Is it completely broken? I think we had some elections this week. It might have been maybe the Muppets versus Spice Girls or something. I don't know. Maybe. I think Scooby-Doo replaced Snoopy or Kermit replaced Popeye, Ren and Stimpy. I don't know, really. Does that make me a bad citizen for not knowing or caring anymore? I don't know. I do remember, though. I mean, we used to always say that, well, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. But I guess when you find out it's all a sham, I think we do have a right to complain and we don't have to vote, because I don't remember anywhere in the Constitution that it said that they protect we, the voters. It was we, the people, whether you vote or not. But we're going to be talking about what has happened. Why do we have government? Is it hopelessly deadlocked? Why is government allowed to rape you and your children each day? What would it like on the planet without government? Is that even possible? Is a democracy the best system? Republic? A one-world government? Can we have a true of the people, by the people, for the people, power to the people, government where everyone is fairly represented? Would a one-world government bring peace finally? Are there other civilizations in the galaxy where they do it differently? And how? What would a more enlightened system look like, and what does the whole of the law is love mean? Did God say, let there be government and all the corruption that goes along with it? I will be talking about all of these things and more tonight. So if you'd like to join us over on the text chat, that's over at truthbrigade.com. And any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call tonight at 402-237-2525, but it is that time. We will be right back with Tobias Lars, InnerBodyAwakening.com. If you have not checked it out yet, please do so now, InnerBodyAwakening.com, but we will be right back. Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at truthbrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. Why is our political system not working? With our special guest tonight, Tobias Lars, author of Listening to the Sun. He's also the creator of Course of Awakening, which you can find at courseofawakening.com. And so good to have you here tonight. How you doing, Tobias?
Hey, Christie, how are you? I'm glad to be back.
Yay, glad to have you. I hear I messed up, though. It wasn't really Kermit and Scooby that won. I think it was Pinky and, who was that? Oh, I missed it in the chat. Pinky and someone else.
Pinky and Stinky, Cat Dog.
Something like that. Pinky and Brain, there we go.
Well, I thought, what do you think? Since the rule is that we shouldn't talk about religion and politics, no matter what, since most of the time we do speak about spiritual topics, how about we just, we should do some politics as well.
We could try that. But I guess, the show, of course, the questions we're going to try to answer, I got a comment today, so I stand corrected. It reads, but our political system is working. It works as intended for the powers that be, not for the slave people. It is the delusion to keep the slaves distracted and under control. It works because those same powers control the media and the money and the enforcement against those who aren't so persuaded. And he continues in your comment, if pro is the opposite of con, what is the opposite of progress? Congress, he says, I will add this, it seems appropriate that the biggest original cons fostered upon the American people begin their names with con. Constitution, Congress, fed by a continuous infusion of politics, a.k.a. blood-sucking creatures. Congratulations, fellow slaves.
Yeah. So it's a fun... Yeah, absolutely. So you can see it from 2 points of view. Obviously, it is working, just the way our educational system is, quote, working, unquote, in order to keep us from being educated. Absolutely. I mean, if anyone looks, it's so obvious. If there was a heartful or a reasoned, you can come at it from several different points of view. This is why I like the Vedic culture, the ancient Indian culture, not Hinduism, but way before that. They would feel, different people approach divinity or source or God or real spirit, whatever you want to call it, from different ways. You can approach it from a reasonable way. In other words, this makes sense, like a Mark Twain would be amazing at reasoning things and then making total fun of ridiculous stupidity in humans, Satirists and humorists approach it, and then you can do it from the heart. You can do it from what feels loving, what is right, what's the loving thing to do. That's sort of Christianity is meant to be that way. Christianity is really at its root this heart love. Jesus was the heart. He's trying to bring heart love back, caring for each other, not using each other. And then you can do it from your gut. Your gut is just sort of knowing intuitively that instinctive thing, what is the right thing to do. It's like our animals. They live basically instinctively, but our dogs love us. Because that's the basic instinct of the universe, is to have certain type of natural order. So we can approach it from different ways. So if we look at our education system, I'm using an example, or the government, doesn't matter, medicine, whatever, pick one. It's all the same programming that is being foisted upon us on a deeper level, which is we're not doing it reasonably, because anyone in their right mind or left mind, maybe we should be more in our, which mind should we be in? We should be in our right mind, because the right mind controls the intuitive. So anybody in their right mind would reasonably see that we are not educating our kids. Just a simple one would be, did anyone here listening or that will listen to this ever have a class in your 12 years, your 16 years if you went to college, your 18 years if you got a master's, your 22 years of schooling, or whatever it would be if you got a PhD or went to medical school, did you ever have one single class with something like this? How to effectively communicate your emotions to another human being without having to hire lawyers or hitmen, which are really the same thing. There's not one single class that I remember. I went to graduate school, college. I went like 7 years of after high school. Not once did they ever teach doctors how to feel compassion for your patients or be able to tune into their way of seeing the world. No. So this is done by design, Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, done by design. It's designed. Your emailer there, absolutely. The system is designed to keep the sheeple down on the farm, stupid, fighting each other, of course. So the same thing, if we really wanted to educate the people, it would be no big deal. We would teach people how to be self-sufficient, not regurgitating little parrots, Nothing against parrots. I love parrots, but, parrots just simply parrot our information. And that's all our education system. We talked about this before. Our educational system is nothing more. Picture this in your mind. The little baby birds just put their head straight up and open their mouth? When you go to a baby bird's nest, there's just 5 little baby birds. All you see is 5 pink mouths that mommy comes home and has to feed each one, right? Mm-hmm. Picture in a classroom, the professor is walking around, and everyone is just sitting out there with their mouths wide agape, not allowed to question what the professor is professing. We're supposed to swallow it, and then come exam day, what do? We throw it back up on a piece of paper, and if we throw it up pretty much the way he shoved it down our throats, or she, we get an A. We get promoted. So, yeah, it's obviously by design. We're not taught to be free individuals, free spirits, free operating beings in the universe. So the government, yeah, so I agree with your emailer there. Of course it's working, just like the education system is working. It is doing exactly, in a sense, what it's meant to do. Now, here's the thing, though. The weird thing about it is that 85%, 95%, I'd say 97% of the people want it to work. It's only 3, we can argue about how much we think it is. Some people say the 80-20 rule. But I'd say there's very, very, very few beings on the planet and off-planet in the astral world that are really what we would call evil or controlling, or really want to have no qualms about killing, maiming, creating wars, sexually raping people, doing all the horrible mind control stuff. Very, 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 very few people do that. So the question becomes, why have we become under this yoke of control? And that's what I'm interested in exploring. How do we get out from under it, one by one? W-O-N, one, I win, one by one. One by one. We can only win this way home one by one, and we can help each other, but everyone has to do their part.
Absolutely. Well, you said that 80% or whatever the number wants it to work, and I agree. I think, everyone wants to be able to trust that we can send our children to school, or that we're, the $150,000 education we're paying for is actually teaching us truth and such. But the problem is, it's not working, so I agree. I mean, we're certainly getting what we pay for, but the problem is, or the government is getting what they pay for. The people certainly are not, yet they continue to pay for it. So what motivation is there for change?
Right. Well, I would suggest at this point that America we've been riding the coattails. It's sort of like when you start something new, you have lots of beautiful energy, a new enterprise, a new business, a new marriage, a new anything. You have this kind of inception, conception, genesis, birthing glow, Joy just had another grandbaby 2 days ago. We watched the birth. And, any birth that happens, there's just a glow sort of afterwards, after the baby is born, is one of the few times in human experience when our minds just shut up and feel it. Shut up and just feel it. Most of the rest of the time our minds are yakety yak, 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 yak. And so when we start a new project, we have that glow. America had that glow for 100-some years, and now, in a sense, the bloom is off the rose. Unless we reboot it, restart it, reactivate it inside ourselves. And so there's an anger, a latent anger now that's really going to surface collectively. This is my prediction. It's already happening. I mean, the Tea Party, whatever, is a symptom of people just going, we've had enough. We're pissed. And the trick is to not get seduced into fighting the old system, because it simply feeds off of that. I've used this image before, but if you remember that movie with Charlton Heston called Ben-Hur, when he did famous chariot race and so forth, set in Judea at the time or after or before Christ, I forget which. I think it was right before or right after. It's one or the other. Anyway, he's on a slave ship rowing, and he's being captured, or his family has been destroyed because they wouldn't play with the Roman authorities. They wouldn't play with the devil. They wouldn't go with the corruption. And he's rowing on a slave ship, and then the master comes by and whips him one time. then Charlton Heston's character, Judah Ben-Hur, turns and looks at him, and you can see in his look, it's just full of hatred, which basically says, you can't rule my soul. And when I'm out of these chains, I'm going to M&F kill you.